Thanks for joining us here on the Bearcat Sports Network. It's time to talk 2017 McKendree football. The schedule has been released, and we're joined by head coach Mike Babcock. And Coach, I know it was a challenge putting together this year's schedule, but a nice mix. 4 non-conference games this year, 7 conference games. Talk about your overall thoughts about this year's schedule.
We set the schedule up so that we would have some very good opponents, especially non-conference opponents, just to be able to see where we're at as a football team. Can we handle a national caliber type of schedule so that we can continue to grow as a football team? So I'm very excited about where we're at. I think we got a great conference and a couple good non-conference games to kind of round out the mix. This is going to be a tough 11-game schedule.
Once again, you run the gauntlet early. 3 tough non-conference games to open up the season. 2 of those on the road, beginning with a return game against Angelo State, a very tough opponent that came to Lebanon last year. Led at the half. The Bearcats came back, a big second-half rally, won that game by 14 points. A team, you're going to play on them on their home turf, and Lone Star opponents are generally tough. And that is definitely the case with Angelo State.
Yeah, Lone Star Conference is a very good conference, and Angelo State is one of those top teams. And I think that beating them at our place last year, I'm sure they're going to have a little, fire in their belly in order to, come back. And us playing down there, it's going to be a long trip. So can we handle a long trip? Can we, bus and the hotels and the extra time there? Can we handle that and still be able to play very good football on the road to start out the season on a Thursday night? So very excited to start the season with Angelo.
Your other 3 non-conference opponents, all new to the McKendree schedule this year. Kentucky State comes to Lehman Field on September 9th, a Division II program out of the state capital of Kentucky. They play in the SIAC Conference, a very tough opponent for you. And then Hillsdale College out of the generally tough GLIAC Conference, a first-time opponent as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be nice that after a long trip down to Texas, we're able to come home and have a home game against Kentucky State. Good team, out of Kentucky. And, their head coach, John L. Smith, is a great coach. He'll have those guys ready to go for their first road game. And, again, very excited to kind of introduce us, because I don't believe we've played Kentucky State in the past, and so very excited to get them at home and just to see where we're at against a great crowd in Lebanon, Illinois. But then to go on the road and play a tough team in Hillsdale College, this is a team that had beaten University of Indianapolis last year. They're out of the GLIAC, which is always another tough conference to play against. And again, can we go on the road and play a very good football team at their place and come away with the win? And that's my challenge to my players, this year, because great teams are able to do that. So are we there yet? We'll see. But again, some very tough opponents, starting out this year. So excited to get it going.
Then your final non-conference opponent, you'll make a second trip to Michigan in the middle of October to take on a new foe in Davenport University, a team that's transitioning to Division II membership. A game at their place. Talk a little bit about what you know about Davenport.
Well, we were searching for a game with St. Joe's College, leaving the conference, and so we had an opening there, and so trying to find a team late in order to fill it. Davenport's a very good up-and-coming program. They were NAIA team making the transition, are now into Division II, into the GLIAC Conference. A very good up-and-coming team. And so I think, again, can we go on the road and can we beat a good team, at their place? That's the challenge. And so it's kind of this, and can we do it in the middle of the season? Can you do it when you have conference games on one side, conference games on the other side? Can you do it in the middle of the season, and can you focus in on what your job is supposed to be? And so I'm excited. I'm excited to kind of go up there and see what we can do.
Coach, before we roll into the GLVC schedule, you did talk about the St. Joseph situation, unfortunate temporary closure of the university. School you hate to see leave the conference, not only for the circumstance, but a very good traditional foe for the Bearcats. I know In years past, we've gone toe-to-toe with them, especially this past year, come from behind effort in the final minutes to win on homecoming. Talk about what St. Joe's meant to this conference.
No, I mean in the 4 years that I've been here and played against them, I mean we're 2-2. And almost every year it's come down to a couple point game, and so they're a very tough opponent, coached very very well, and I think it hurts the conference that you lose a tough opponent in anyone. So, but. It ends up happening, and it's going to be a tough loss for the conference, but obviously we got to move on and try to, pick up the pieces. We were able to pick up a game in Davenport. I know a couple other teams are deciding to have a bye, in that week time frame, so it'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds.
Jumping into the GLVC schedule for the Bearcats, you open at William Jewell College before hosting back-to-back opponents in the upper tier of the conference in Southwest Baptist and the University of Indianapolis. 2 losses on the Bearcats schedule last year, but I know you guys will be ready to play them this year with a measure of revenge.
Yeah, I'll be honest. There's no one in the conference or whatever that I'm going to say, oh yeah, that's an easy win, or no, that's going to be a hard game. I mean, they're all tough games, and to start the conference, after 3 non-conference games, going on the road to William Jewell at their place is going to be tough. So our first 4 games, there's 3 of them that are on the road. So it's definitely a tough area. Then still being able to come back and playing great teams like Southwest Baptist, Indianapolis, Quincy University at home. It's always a tough deal. We play very well at home, but again, it's. Each game is different, and guys got to come ready to play every week, and that's going to be my biggest message this week is that, it really doesn't matter who the opponent is. Doesn't matter whether you're home or away. Can you handle your business? Can you play for a great 60 minutes, play great football, and come away with a win?
After that tough 3-game stretch to open the conference, you go to Davenport, a non-conference game, before heading to Missouri S&T. That is a program that has traditionally given the Bearcats fits over the years, especially at their place.
Yeah, I was going to say, especially on the road, and Coach Fenwick's done a nice job with that team, and he's got definitely some playmakers on both sides of the ball, and it makes it a handle, in order to play him. We've been fortunate enough at home to be able to rally and be able to come away with a win, but can we beat them at their place? That's something that we haven't done yet, at Missouri S&T.
After going to S&T, you come home for your final 2 games of the season at Lehman Field, a very tough Lincoln University squad, and then the battle for the state of Illinois in Division II, Quincy University. That was a game that went down to the wire last year as well, and I know you traditionally want to defend the home turf. Talk about what those games are going to mean for your program.
Yeah, well, first off, Lincoln University has a new head coach, so they will be rally behind that new system, offensively, defensively. It's late enough in the season so that a new scheme is not going to be new by that time. So usually a team is usually hitting their stride right around that 2/3 mark of the season. And so I really think it will be a tough game against Lincoln. It's always been tough against Quincy. I think with only 2 Division II schools in the state of Illinois, I think it's set up that way. It's a good, fun-filled, hard-hitting, type of game. You look at the home game that we had 2 years ago, it went back and forth the entire game. I mean, the drive, touchdown, it just kept going and didn't really break open until towards the 4th quarter. Kind of the same thing this last year. It really wasn't until that 3rd quarter that, finally we were starting to get a little bit momentum to start putting the game away a little bit. So, and it's a lot of those guys that are there were recruited by us. A lot of guys that we have were recruited by them. So it goes back and forth about a good in-state rivalry. So I know that it'll be a great game, especially to finish out the home stretch at home against Quincy. So definitely looking forward to the end of the season.
And then the team waiting at the very end of the 2017 schedule, Truman State University up in Kirksville. That's a team that came in here last year, a lot riding on the line. The Bearcats, kind of no way around it, took it to them in that last game, and I know Truman State has that game marked on their calendar.
No, I mean, it's great because you've got great athletes on both sides. You got great coaches on both sides. Greg Nesbitt is a fantastic head coach. His son, the defensive coordinator, great coach, and great coaches on offense. I think that what I'd said earlier about Angelo State, kind of taking something away from them, you can definitely say the same thing about Truman State. They came in here with, one game away from top 25 in the nation, playing in the playoffs, outright, GLVC, and we ended up taking that away from them. And so, obviously there's going to be a lot of, hatred, I guess you can say, towards it. I'd be a little pissed too if it was reversed. So again, that whole thing, what's the thing? Going on the road, playing a very tough opponent. I mean, they won conference this last year. We didn't. So can we go on the road and be able to beat a team like that and kind of make our claim that we have a shot? So it's a great test. Unbelievable test for us.
11-game schedule in 2017, 11 different challenges, and 11 chances to run the gauntlet, Coach. Very challenging schedule put together. Congratulations to you and your staff on getting that done. Good luck as we head into that new season.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Scott.
Don't forget, you can keep up with McKendree football online at mckbearcats.com.